If you have a mental illness, let me ask you something. When did it start? Your answer was probably sometime before the age of 18, even if you weren't diagnosed until later. That's because mental illness usually starts in childhood. And if you're a parent living with a mental illness, your child is automatically at a higher risk too. I've lived through a mental health crisis with my own kiddo, and I learned a lot of things the hard way. So today, I want to share with you 3 hard truths every parent with a mental illness needs to hear. I'm Patty, the Girl with Blue Energy. I make videos about mental health and personal growth. Think back to your childhood. I remember Mrs. Davis carrying me out of her classroom, kicking and screaming, completely overwhelmed. I also remember sitting in the principal's office more times than I could count because I couldn't control my emotions. Back then, my parents just told them she needs a nap. Looking back, I can see that I struggled with my emotion regulation and my moods way back in early childhood, but people just didn't recognize it at such a young age. A lot of us developed our mental health conditions and had issues with regulating our emotions all the way back to childhood, which is why it's so important as parents that we look for it in our own kids. Let's start with the first one. You can't parent away a mental illness. Some parents, especially those of us who have a mental illness of our own, think that we can save our child from being diagnosed with a mental illness through better parenting. So if we love them more, give them more attention, more structure, we model good behavior of our own, that we can prevent mental illness in our child. So sometimes when we start to see symptoms, instead of seeking help, we avoid getting them treatment because we don't want them to be labeled with a mental illness, or we don't want them to be saddled with the stigma of having a mental illness. Some parents don't want their kids to get treatment because they don't want them to take medications. And there's also some parents who don't want their kids in the system. So they don't want therapists meddling in their life, or they don't want the school involved. So they don't want to take their kids in for treatment because they don't want people to see what's going on inside their home. That should be a red flag for yourself if you think that there's a concern that somebody might look into if your child's talking to someone. And I'd say you need to start seeking out treatment or help for yourself if that's the case for you. So these are all not very good reasons to avoid getting treatment for your child. The sooner you get some help and some resource, the sooner they can get help and cope with what's going on inside their head, and you'll have support and tools for yourself too as a parent. And that brings me to the second hard truth. Your mental health matters more than you think. When I say mental health, I'm not talking about self-care like taking bubble baths or a walk or getting a break. I'm talking about putting in the work. If you're struggling with your own mental health, this is directly affecting your child. And I'm not saying this as a parent who's judgmental. I'm saying this as someone who's been there. If your mental health is not managed well or not in control, it is going to affect your child's mental health outcome. Parental functioning is one of the most important factors in how your child turns out. So if you're not functioning, your home is chaotic, there's substance abuse, emotional abuse, you and your partner, your other kids are staying up late and there's no order in your home, your kids are going to be affected and your child's outcome is going to be worse, especially if they already are predisposed to a mental illness because of you as a parent. So the most important thing you can do if your child is having mental health issues is make sure that you're getting help, that you're getting support, and that you have people helping you to take care of your child. The third hard truth is probably the most important one of all. Don't wait until there's a crisis to get help. And don't think you're going to know when that crisis is going to happen, because sometimes things happen with your children at much younger ages than you anticipate. So there are some signs you can look out for. If you're worried about your child in early elementary, they may have problems regulating their emotions, having huge tantrums or tantrums that go on for hours, rage, issues controlling that. In older elementary and middle school teenagers, they may have issues with their sleep or their appetite. Their grades may change, or their mood and behavior may change. I have a complete list of signs you can look out for on my blog that I've listed in the description, and there are also some resources there if you need help with your child. But do not wait too long to get help, because one, your child may end up in the hospital when they could have just gotten treatment in a therapy office or therapy setting. But also, it is very difficult to get into pediatric psychiatrists and even therapists' office sometimes. There are places where there are 2-month waits, sometimes longer than that. So the sooner you can get the ball rolling on this, the sooner you can get support and help for your child. I also have some information on my blog with phone numbers you can call if you're struggling with money and paying this, or struggling to find appointments. I would encourage you to check out my blog and get some resources to help you, because the sooner you can get help for your kid, the sooner they can learn how to manage what's going on in their head. You have support info, resources, and you avoid your child having an outcome that you don't want to happen. So I've been through a lot of this with my own child, which is why I'm sharing this video. Don't wait too long to get help for your kids. If you notice symptoms that are concerning to you, talk to your pediatrician, talk to your school, or call one of the numbers on my blog. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you to my new subscribers. I so appreciate you. I'm trying to grow a really useful mental health channel with content that's helpful, not just for mental illness, but also for managing your lives. So signing out. I'll see you guys again soon.